Washington XL 92.5 FM.
All right, we welcome you in. Today's new drug is one day closer to a mini camp, a rookie mini camp that I hear more buzz about all of a sudden, which is really kind of a cool thing. You can go to the mini camp. You will see information. If it's not already out there, it'll be on all those Jaguars social channels, and you can watch Travis Hunter for the first time, which is kind of a cool thing. So we're all kind of excited about that. And so we'll talk more about that as we move along today on the program. Thanks to our friends at Coyle & Sons Fence Company, the best fence company around. We certainly appreciate them. And right now, by the way, they've gone from commercial. They still do great commercial fencing. They're doing a lot for some of the companies I'm involved in, including walk-off charities. But they now have residential, and they're offering 0% financing if you want to do residential fencing. They're bringing the best fence company to you. That's my friends at Coyle & Sons Fence Company. We'll tell you more about them as we move along on this Wednesday. Frangie and La Selva with you. Hays Carlyon's got the rest of the week off. Hacker Nation is in parts unknown. You think he's already down there by now? What's your guess there, JJ?
Oh, my gosh. Absolutely. This guy, the way I guarantee they're like a 6 a.m. drive down there immediately and be ready when the gates open.
There's no question. If they were getting those pancakes and eggs and sausage, that was on the way. That was at a Bob Evans on the way down, wasn't it?
Or they probably just saved themselves because they want to pay the $50 for the Mickey-shaped pancakes.
That's exactly
like
right.
all Disney people do.
God bless them for it, as a matter of fact. So you're exactly right about that. But glad you're with us. Thanks to our friends at Coyle & Sons. Always a Coyle & Sons Wednesday around here, 904-356-4821, my friends at Coyle & Sons, or the best fence company in town. Or you can log on to Coyle, that's C-O-Y-L-E, CoyleJacks.com. A lot of things to get to today. We're loaded up today. My friend Brett Hastings stops by. That is Sports and Courts. Really interesting that the president is taking a real hard look at college athletics. There's some talk that he wants to create an NIL standard. He wants to come up with executive orders that might, and he hopes, override all this state legislation that has kind of dictated what NIL can and can't do. A lot of that, by the way, is lobbied for by the schools in those states. So that'll be a very interesting Sports and Courts and where college athletics might be going. And if the executive branch gets involved, how involved can they be and how much of a difference can it make? So we'll certainly talk about that coming up on the program today. It's going to be kind of fun. Ira Schofel stops by at 4:40 from warchant.com. Boy, he knows Florida State athletics well. We're going to do kind of a State of the Union of Florida State football, kind of as it stands right now. Where are they? How are they doing? What does he think of Thomas Castellanos and now Gus Malzahn running the offense and Tony White running the defense? And is this a last stand for Mike Norvell? And what's the buzz there with the new stadium? I know Rick talked about it a lot last night, but we'll get Ira. I know he was on with Rick. He'll join us today at 4:40. And then we'll do the same thing with the Gators. My friend Shane Matthews, the two-time All-SEC or two-time SEC Player of the Year, I should say, from the Gator Radio Network will join us. I'm going to ask him how DJ Lagway is doing and what are his expectations. And there's so many interesting expectations for the Gators. What does Shane think? So he comes on coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. JJ's going to knock out headlines for us. You have a good musical. Do you have a good musical ending to headlines, by the way?
I do.
Okay, don't
I didn't really think too hard about it. I was just like, this sort of makes sense, and I think both of us will enjoy it.
I love it. So, all right, so we got a lot of fun stuff coming up today on the program. The news of the day, the Jags have cut Gabe Davis. I am not surprised by it. I won't say hinted that because I didn't know they were cutting. I couldn't hint something I didn't know was happening, so I won't say I hinted it was happening. But I think we all, if you follow that story closely, I said this on the air yesterday with Hacker, and I've said it before, he was at best going to be their fifth receiver. The reality is they signed a receiver in free agency in De'Ami Brown, who they really like, one of the fastest players on the team. They think he's about to blow up. We saw signs of it in the postseason for Washington a year ago. I can tell you this. I was told they were going to pursue a receiver in free agency that had not yet arrived but was arriving and for whom they had high hopes. I didn't know who it was. I had no idea when the name De'Ami Brown was mentioned. I didn't even know who he was, if I'm being honest. But I knew they were pursuing somebody they really liked, and he's the guy. So you went out and got in free agency a receiver you really liked to go with the receiver you already had that you really like in Brian Thomas Jr., and then you draft a guy second overall that's probably the best player in the draft who's primarily a receiver. So at that point, you've got your three. Make no mistake about that. That's your three. Parker Washington will be a very good fourth receiver. He's more of a slot guy. He's a possession guy. He's smaller and shiftier. He's a little bit of he's a stockier build guy. He's a little bit of a Christian Kirk type receiver. He'll probably be the return guy. So that's their four. When you have your four guys, the fifth guy, number one's got to be a special teams player. Well, Gabe didn't play special teams. So if you're that should have been the biggest red flag is whoever winds up being that fifth receiver, and I don't know who it's going to be, but whoever winds up being that fifth receiver is going to be a special teams player. Quite often, it's all core four special teams: punt coverage and return, kick coverage and return. It could be that. So I'm not overly surprised. They took a little bit of a cap hit, but it wasn't an awful cap hit. And here's the other thing. Oh, by the way, and Gabe was hurt a lot. He was hurt toward the end. He only played 9 games last year. And I think there's thought in some areas that he might not have been around next year for a while. I don't know that, and I don't know this. He's not a member of the Jaguars anymore, so this will be decided by the team he goes to, I suppose. But I don't know that Gabe is going to necessarily start the season healthy. And again, I don't want to act like I know more than I do, but let me just tell you, I wouldn't be surprised if he starts the season on the PUP list or starts the season or is not in uniform wherever he lands, and he'll land somewhere, starts the season. It just would not surprise me if that's where this thing lands. So, and one other thought about this, and again, I'm not trying to trash. Gabe Davis had a good career. He's had 2 7-touchdown seasons back-to-back years in 22 and 23 for Buffalo. He caught 7 touchdowns both of those years. He averaged a lot per catch. His career average per catch is 16.2 yards. That's pretty good. In back-to-back years in Buffalo, he averaged 17.4 and 16.9. So this I'm certainly not trying to demean Gabe Davis, who's a good football player in the NFL. By all accounts, you saw Mitch Morse's comments. Mitch played with him both in Buffalo and here and liked him, like the person he was, the whole bit. But he didn't look very good last year, whether it was because he was playing hurt, whether it was because he didn't fit the offense. You never, and I loved it when they signed him from Buffalo. I thought that was going to be a big hit. But you never felt him find a rhythm last year, even when he was healthy. You never felt like he fit into the game, did you? Whereas Evan Ingram always fit when he was healthy. Christian Kirk always fit when he was healthy. Zay Jones, really sort of the predecessor to Gabe Davis, is the third primary receiver here, always kind of fit when he was healthy. Brian Thomas Jr. fit, and he was just out of college. You never felt like Gabe Davis was a fit. It just, and again, that's not a knock on him. So when I heard the news today that they had released him, I can't tell you I expected that. I don't know that I did, but I did expect that he would have a hard time factoring in the offense this year. So for that reason, when I saw it, I was very not surprised by it. I think he'll find a team. I think he's an NFL player. I think he's a good NFL player. I think he'll find a spot, but I'm not surprised he's going. JJ, were you surprised when you saw the news?
I was, because of the cap hit, the dead cap hit, and I just sort of bought into the whole thing that like maybe he wasn't completely healthy last year, and maybe it'll be new beginnings this year, but mostly because of the dead cap hit. I was just like, why wouldn't they just keep him around?
Yeah, well, and I'll tell you this too. And
but and another thing, real quick, it shows me. Listen, Hunter's going to be predominantly a wide receiver.
Yeah,
that's as clear as day now.
Yeah, if it wasn't before, right. That's correct. I'll say this: it's hard if you have a veteran guy that has been accomplished. Okay, and again, he had a 48 catch year, a 43 catch year. He never had 50 catches in a year, but he was for 2 years there. He was an important part of a very good Buffalo offense. Nobody would debate that. But if you have a guy that's accomplished in some regards, and he was, and all of a sudden that guy's a fourth or fifth receiver, it's hard on your culture. That doesn't mean he's not a good guy. You just heard Mitch Morse say he's a really good guy, and I don't doubt for a minute that he is. But it's hard in your locker room, on your team,
at practice every
day, having a guy that has been a big factor in the NFL or some sort of a factor in the NFL to suddenly be no factor,
and a high-paid guy.
Yeah, and that too. It just doesn't fit. It doesn't fit to have a guy that everybody thought would start sitting on the bench, not playing very much. Obviously, even the best people in the world are going to be disgruntled when they never saw that happening in their career at this point in their career.
Body language, even, sometimes you can't help it.
Yeah, right. That's right. And that's exactly right, JJ. And I'm not saying he's that guy because I don't believe he is. But anybody who
we all got a little bit in us, though.
Well, and you have expectations.
Yeah.
And if your expectations were to be a starter, and number one, you're embarrassed. If there's anything else, you're probably you're embarrassed that you came here. Look, you played at UCF. You're actually born in Fernandina. Weren't raised here, but was actually born here. You have a little bit of a connection to Duval, and then it doesn't go well. Okay, you're hurt. You hope for the bounce back year. Then a year later, you're not even playing. And so I think so I'm not surprised by it. I wish Gabe the best. I hope he lands in a good place. I really do. But I'm not. I don't find myself surprised that Gabe Davis gone. The top 3 receivers are going to be Brian Thomas Jr., De'Ami Brown, and Travis Hunter in some capacity, in some order. Parker Washington will be their 4th receiver. If they played today, he'll also be their return guy. And if they keep 6 receivers, which teams typically do, and you typically have 6 up, the other 2 will be special teams players. That I can assure you. I can assure you, you're not going to have Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, or De'Ami Brown covering punts. You're not going to have Parker Washington covering punts. You need somebody to cover punts, and that's often defensive backs, linebackers, and receivers. There's other guys that can play it, but you go watch a team's gunners. It's defensive backs, corners, or safeties, wide receivers, and sometimes linebackers. So Gabe Davis gone from the Jags. We'll talk more about that as we go. Other stories, by the way, we'll get to. Steph Curry, boy, JJ, he's never had an injury of this sort, ever.
A hamstring?
Yeah.
And it's just like terrible time. Like you win the game, but it feels like you lose the series last night.
But here's the thing. He went out in the first half.
13 minutes in.
Yeah.
Or he played 13 minutes.
Yeah. And so I thought, okay, they're going to lose.
That's what I thought. The Wolves are definitely going to win this one.
Right.
But they couldn't buy a basketball.
No, they could. So they win the game. But I will tell you this, more about this later, but the NBA, LeBron's out, Steph's hurt. That is not good. And that doesn't mean there's not a bunch of really good players, because there are. But I read a story today about the grandmother rule. You know what the grandmother rule is?
No.
The grandmother rule is a really good, and nobody wants to talk about it, but it exists. The grandmother rule is, which players would your grandmother who doesn't follow sports know their name, right?
Exactly.
And Steph Curry and LeBron are the 2 players who figure prominently in the grandmother role, and so are the grandmother rule. So we'll talk more. We got a lot of things to get to. We're going to talk FSU football with Ira Schofield later on. Shane Matthews checks in to talk about the Gators. That comes up in a bit. Headlines later on in the program. But when we come back, we'll kick it off with sports and courts. The president involving himself in college football. Where's that going to land? Brett Hastings weighs in after this. Stay with us.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Frank Frangie here. These days, it's hard to know which companies to trust. But when it comes to banking, I trust South State Bank. South State truly values its customers, and they work hard to create meaningful, lasting relationships. I love going into my local branch. I see the same smiling faces I've seen for years. South State is the largest bank headquartered in Florida, so they're able to offer all the banking services you need. You can trust South State Bank. Banking forward. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Every game is a story.
And the game is tied.
Every play is a moment waiting to happen.
We're going to overtime.
Your home for the most play-by-play is 1010XL.
Frank Frangie here. Nimnick Chevrolet is proud to be an 8-time Chevrolet Dealer of the Year recipient, the only dealership in Northeast Florida to ever win this prestigious award. Earned by treating customers with courtesy, respect, and fairness, all part of Nimnick's Treating You Right guarantee. Visit nimnickchevy.com to learn more. For 3 generations, Nimnick has been the place customers keep coming back to. I've been buying my vehicles from Nimnick since 1982 because they care about their customers and are invested in our local community, including supporting walk-off charities. And all we're trying to do to help underprivileged kids learn to play baseball. Treating you right, giving back to the community, more choices and better prices for you. So who has put the most years and stands behind a better experience? The answer is simple. Nobody but Nimnick. Visit their showroom off Cassett Avenue or shop 24/7 at nimnickchevy.com. Head to Nimnick today. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
I'm Holt Harrell with Harrell & Harrell. Choosing a law firm after an accident is an important decision. So how do you decide? With so many messages on air, I know it can all sound the same. At Harrell & Harrell, we believe what sets us apart is our commitment to you. When you've been injured in an accident, you need help from someone you know, someone you can trust. Harrell & Harrell, a name you know, a name you trust. Don't settle for less than you deserve. Offices, Jacksonville.
Rotator cuff injuries are common among athletes and those who have physically demanding careers. Don't let this injury keep you away from the sport you love. Dr. George Barry here, and the first thing you need to do with a serious shoulder injury is to diagnose where the damage is and how significant it is. Rotator cuff tears are either acute tears sustained during an injury or accident, or degenerative tears. If you're interested in learning more about rotator cuff repair and how our expert team of orthopedic surgeons can help you, call Barry Orthopedics today or visit barryorthopedics.com.
Leon Cersei here. Let's be real. I used to eat like a lineman because I was one. And man, those habits are hard to break. I needed help to stop with the munchies and lose weight. But now, I'm bringing sexy back. I call Physician Guided Weight Loss. Their medical team is helping me shed pounds safely with a custom plan to help me slim down. And their firm pricing means same price every month. Hey, you want to bring sexy back? Visit Physician Guided Weight Loss at pgweightloss.com.
Make the most of every lawn with Kubota commercial landscaping equipment. From the productivity-boosting Z700 mower to the reliable SVL track loader, it's a lineup built to get the job done right. Because when your reputation is on the line, you need equipment that will never let you down. Visit Coastal Equipment in Jacksonville or McClenny.
Greater power for the great outdoors. Coastal Equipment.
Coastal Equipment on New Kings Road and in McClenny.
One man, one hammer. One place to hear it drop. Hammer Time with Hays, weekdays on The Frangie Show.
Driven by Southside Kia. Online at SouthsideKiaJacks.com on 1010XL.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
Remember Mom this Mother's Day with a beautiful floral arrangement from Kuhn Flowers. Max here with 1010XL, and there's no excuse for a last-minute thing when you can simply call Kuhn Flowers or go online to kuhnflowers.com.
This is Richard Miller with your Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles Update. This Friday, we will have our in-store signing with Jaguar Monteric Brown. Friday night, May 9th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. inside Showtime. Tickets still available for the autograph signing with Monteric Brown. May 9th at Showtime. Sports Cards and Collectibles. Update your collection.
Yo, this is Tony from Tony D's. Are you looking for a great slice of pizza? Well, we have about 12 varieties. Most places won't have slices of pizza after lunch. At Tony D's, you can get a slice all day. It's always fresh at Tony D's Pizza. Bay Meadows and 295.
Are your monthly bills keeping you up at night, wondering how you got so behind? Hey, I'm Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. I get it. Life is expensive now. Insurance, groceries, cars. And then there's the credit card debt with those obscene interest rates. It's time to regain your financial freedom. And that's what we offer at Loan Pronto, using the power of the equity in your home. We have multiple ways to get you the cash you need, and most clients close in 2 weeks or less, and many don't even require an appraisal. And listen, rates have been plummeting recently. We just locked a homeowner in with an APR in the low fives, saving her over $1,000 per month and put $10,000 in her pocket. Life-changing money. Whether you're drowning in debt, have a nosebleed rate you got last year, need home improvements, or simply need cash in your pocket, we can help you accomplish this goal in record time. Call us today and get started with no hard credit pull, just a conversation. LoanPronto.com, 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com. That's LoanPronto.com.
Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now time for Sports and Courts, legal issues in the sports world with Brett Hastings from the Hastings Injury Law Firm. Hit back with Hastings.
My friend Brett Hastings is here from Sports and Court, the Hastings Injury Law Firm. I won't confirm or deny if we just spent 7 minutes during that break replaying the entire Florida National Championship in basketball. I can't confirm that.
Yeah.
I will. My attorney has advised me not to comment on it, so I'm not going to comment on it. So there's that.
Yeah.
How you doing? You all right?
You did a great job of making no comment while you're making a comment.
Exactly right. So this is an interesting story you brought in. Just so you know, Sports and Courts. Brett doesn't just come here and add and talk about things, but he helps dig up these stories so we have something we can talk about that makes sense. This is a good one, man. This to me is a very interesting story that the president wants to get involved in college football. Now, that's big picture. There's more specifics in what exactly he's going to do. But let me ask you for a big picture before we get into the details. Can the executive branch make decisions that override state laws? I mean, does that work? I know that's a broad question, but does it work like that?
It doesn't. But, we have seen really when Obama went in, he was the guy that kind of started, issuing all these executive orders, right? And then, Trump, has been super proficient in getting a ton of executive orders out now. And so executive orders are direction to tell people what to do. But, it's clear, at least in our Constitution, we have the legislative branch to make laws, right? And the executive branch is to do what? Is to enforce and effectuate laws. But what Trump's preparing to do is pretty interesting. Really, it's really a fluid situation, but a lot of this started, Ted Cruz was trying to get things in front of Congress.
Right.
And so, one of the things that is unique is Tommy Tuberville is now a senator from Alabama.
Correct.
And so Tuberville has said, hey, Nick Saban, will you come up here? And so Nick Saban and Tommy Tuberville have been the guys that have really been stumping in D.C. And so they came up. There was a symposium that they spoke at like a week or so ago.
Right.
And they did have a chance to meet with the president. And the president said, I'm going to issue an executive order right now. And now in the last day or so, the media reports are that he's going to try to put together a commission. And, to answer your question, there's a couple of really unique things here. Number one, we know this is all involves name, image, and likeness, right? Which is a state issue.
Right.
There's no federal NIL law. So name, image, and likeness really is sort of a state-by-state thing, and that creates some problems, obviously, in college football. Now, the reports are that really what Nick Saban and Tommy Tuberville were wanting to see is, for lack of a better term, a cap, right? One of the big things that Nick Saban said when he spoke the other day is he said, hey, whoever's willing to spend the most money can probably get the best roster, and this isn't in the best interest of college athletics. And I think we all agree to it. And so there was some discussion that maybe an executive order would come out now that would say, hey, there's going to be a restraint of the amounts that could be spent. And also, student athletes aren't employees, And I can tell you right now, student athletes are not employees. You can't do that in an executive order, right? Like the courts would go out and decide that. But I applaud Trump for at least trying to bring the parties together and to put some structure in place. And I believe this will be the start of it.
And I'll say this. I've always thought, not just Donald Trump, not just the president, that I've always thought the politicians should stay out of sports. I've always believed that. And that's a general blanket statement. That let the sports people handle the sports stuff and let the politicians handle the stuff that matters.
Right.
And I've always felt that way. But I will tell you this, whether it's this administration, whether it's the next one, whether it's if somebody with that kind of power can get this wild, wild west under control, I think I would like it.
Right.
I think that's what you know what I mean? I wonder because I would like to look. I always used to think I'd like to see a federal law that made college football have a tournament.
Right.
So where's it going? What's your prediction now that the president is involved, or at least the executive branch in some capacity is going to try to inject itself into this? Where's it going to go?
I think you're going to get all of these stakeholders together, and eventually we'll work towards there being an oversight body that's closer to the way the NFL or the NBA is run than the way the NCAA is run. The NCAA, I would say, is more similar to the way we see, the Olympic regulation and those types of things come on. And what the NCAA tried to do is to try to regulate, 40 some odd, different sports, but really only 2 sports that had like TV contracts. They only had a lot of these other things that are the drivers for the success for the NFL, for the NBA, for these other entities. And so, if you go and look at college athletics right now, and I don't care who you're a fan of, I think you look at and say, hey, the 2 conferences that are the strongest and have everything going the right way, both have very strong commissioners, right? Both had a lot of foresight, negotiated their own television networks, everything else, earlier than everybody else, and their teams get the most exposure. They have the most leverage when it comes to dealing with any of those things. I think if we start that this is primarily going to be focused on college football, then it will go into college basketball, and I just think eventually we're going to see it come up to like 4 super conferences, and we'll see it run, like an NFL.
And I do too, and that's where everybody thinks it's going to go. If it goes there, for today's topic, NIL, will we get to where, in your opinion, is there enough legal juice for whether it's the president, Brett? Does somebody in the political realm, and it would have to be the president, he's got more juice than anybody, but is there somebody in the political realm that can make rules? That's what I'm asking. Can they come up with rules that say, here's the salary cap, here's what you can and can't be paid for? Can a president make rules that will stick in college athletics? That's the question.
The president will have to be the driving force behind getting the Congress to get involved and to pass rules that could help to stabilize and put these things into issue.
Can Congress get that done? I mean, can the federal government?
We hope. We're in such a divided country. I mean,
but even apart from that, can the let's say the left and right all for this had kumbaya and loved each other for a moment. Could the federal government get this stuff done and override what's being done at the state level? I guess that's the question.
I'm more hopeful of a scenario where there's a commission before with all of the stakeholders who want to go in and say, okay, let's do what we believe is in the best interest of college athletics and work in college athletics. Right?
Yeah.
We don't need somebody that runs a hotel deciding how to run a law firm.
Great point.
And the guys at the law firm don't need to tell the sports talk radio people how to run their thing. And so I think that's the biggest thing that we have with government regulation. So, if there's a couple of things that I like is that, okay, Trump says we got a problem here, and we all know we got a problem here, okay? Right. Now, like I've been saying, legally what we've got to get figured out is we say it's NIL and we know it's pay for play, right? So even this executive order would still be kind of a sham that Saban and Tuberville wanted to see because they were saying, well, we want there to be caps on name, image, and likeness amount, but we don't want to deal with these people as employees. Well, I think we've got to go back. What we would want to see is we don't want to see guys in college for 25 years, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to see a B-rate professional system, right? We would like to see these kids be able to share in the money that they make. I would personally, I think most people would. But I also think that we would like to see, we were talking about basketball. We all hated to see Denzel Aberdeen leave to go to Kentucky. And the same Gator fans that were mad might get Boogie Flan to come to Florida. But that's just not good for college athletics, I think, in the long term, because if there was one thing that was cool about college athletics is you were a Gator and then you went to the Jaguars.
Right.
And what I love about the Jaguars, I can root for Seminoles that are fantastic players and all these great Georgia defensive players. You might joke in college, but you want to see them on your team. And so, if we could get back to that, because college football isn't just about money. What attracts us to it are the traditions. And the other thing that's great about college football is that everybody has a place in it. Those people in Idaho, if they don't have Boise State aren't really a part of the NFL, the NBA, or anything else. And so if we can get something that way that's inclusive and that these people can make some money and we're not having all the – I mean, the NCAA and the rules of the NCAA were a joke, right?
And we all know that.
Right. And so, caps work. They work in the NFL. They work, in these other things. We're not talking about restricting people too much. We're still saying, hey, go out, manage your roster the right way. And DJ Lagway is probably going to cost more money than DJ Ungaway or however you say it, right?
Right.
And then you've kind of got to figure out how you do that. I don't think we want to see college athletics become like the Yankees or anybody else. And I think that a lot of the stakeholders will be able to at least get Congress to buy into that. Because if there's one good thing about putting this in front of the Congress, what do you think it is?
Tell me.
All 50 states are there.
Well, that's right.
Right? So those guys in the Pacific Northwest and the other things are going to want to see it not just be a Southeastern Conference-centric type of thing.
Well, to your point, you're right, Brett. And you're here to tell us what's legal and what's not. We all can agree that college football and college sports can be better if the Wild Wild West quits happening. And I think we all can. Chris Harry was on with us yesterday talking about all this Gator move, and he said and obviously he's talking to Golden and other coaches, they think the Wild Wild West as it is this is the last year because the House settlement will change that a little. And I think there's some truth to that. But you're right. If legally the executive branch can, because it's the executive branch, he's the president, if legally the president can override some of the dumb rules we've got. Because what happened now is, here's why we have the state rules, because Kirby Smart or Nick Saban or Brian Kelly or Ryan Day or whoever these power coaches are, they get to their senator and House and representative and governor and get them to pass stuff that benefits their football team. Right. Well, that is what we need the president to fix. Right. That's what we need. Need to get fixed.
And I think it's only going to come from some type of federal mandate or a true oversight that everybody's going to buy into to try to cap some of those monies. Because you say, well, we think the House will stop it. But the one thing that I would say to Todd Golden or anybody else in basketball is those guys at Villanova, they're not paying for wide receivers, cornerbacks, or defensive tackles. And if you look around, look at Kentucky. Kentucky just spent most of their money on their NIL on their basketball team. And so some basketball-first schools, I think you're going to end up having to have some types of caps, things that would be unique to the individual programs so that you would have, real across-the-board competition.
It'll be fun to see what happens, and we'll keep an eye on this one. The newest story is the president getting himself involved in college athletics. Brett, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Brett Hastings from the Hastings Injury Law Firm. That is Sports and Courts. When we come back, we'll head to Tallahassee. Ira Schofellis from warchant.com knows the Noles as well as anybody. Let's do a state of Florida State football. How did spring football go? What does Ira think of Thomas Castellanos? Is Mike Norvell on as hot a seat as it would appear? How good will the Noles be? That's next. Stay with us.
The Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Add a little fun to your morning ride.
It's like we got another show to do.
Dan Hicken.
Great.
Jeff Prosser.
Let's get it over with.
The Drill.
We have a few items we want to straighten out first.
Mornings.
I don't think you understand who you're talking to here.
On 1010XL.
Hi, it's Frank Frangie. Look, when it comes to glass, there's one name I trust, and that's Lee & Case Glass. Mirrors, custom showers, tabletops, even foggy glass windows, they handle all that. And they've been doing it right since long before I ever picked up a mic. Local, family-owned, and part of this community, just like we are. They've taken great care of me, including our brand-new walk-off offices. Guys, they did a great job, and I promise they'll do the same for you. Lee & Case, it's the clear choice. Check them out at leeandcaseglass.com.
Jacksonville, Hickens calling it. Checkmate Coating, my MVP. Tough, slick floors that dominate any space.
Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
Feeling the Florida heat? Make sure your car's AC is ready with help from Big Chief Tire. Frank Frangie here. Right now, get $50 off all AC services at any of their 5 Jacksonville locations. Whether it's a quick recharge or a full repair, their expert technicians will keep you cool and comfortable on the road. Visit WeKeepJacksRollin.com or call 904-932-0950 to schedule your AC service today and take advantage of this limited one-time offer. Big Chief Tire keeps Jacks rolling.
Spring and summer are coming. Will your pool deck be ready? Don't Slip Deck Coatings of Jacksonville has you covered. Their multi-layered slip-resistant coatings come in a variety of colors, adding safety, durability, and style to your outdoor spaces. Plus, they offer slip-resistant solutions for inside your home, too. Long-lasting, affordable, and built to protect your family. Don't wait. Call today for a free quote, 904-466-1839. And follow Don't Slip Jacks on Facebook and Instagram.
Celebrate Mom with a unique experience this Mother's Day at Wick, a candle bar. Make her own custom candle with over 90 fragrances at Wick, a candle bar in San Marco and Jacks Beach.
Happy Mother's Day.
I have cooked, cleaned, scrubbed.
If you'd like some help with Mother's Day gift ideas from Beard's Diamonds, Wicca Candle Bar, Small Cakes Jacks, and Jacksonville Flower Market, go to 1010XL.com.
You're a good one, aren't you? Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
Oh, these polymers aren't as flexible as batch K3.
Researcher Laurie is stretched thin.
Did you get the vulcanization analytics from V66? Oh, wait, are these rubber scores from last week?
She needs to hire new lab technicians so she can bounce back into her old self.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our matching platform lets you spend less time searching and more time connecting with candidates. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Right now, they're on their way to disrupt your life, make you uncomfortable, and rob you. Don't bother calling the police. They can't help. That's right. Summer heat and humidity are about to attack North Florida again. You know what to do. Call Mike Merritt. Mike Merritt's Heating and Air has a license to chill. When heat and humidity are attacking you, Mike Merritt provides a comfortable chill at a bargain price. Mike has been keeping North Florida comfortable for 30 years. Mike Merritt technicians are never paid commissions, meaning you'll never be pressured to buy something you don't need. And Mike Merritt knows cooling issues can arise anytime. They don't just happen during business hours. So Mike Merritt never charges overtime fees. When you need us, we're here for you. Remember, in the fight against heat and humidity, Mike Merritt has a license to chill. Visit merrittair.com. Florida license number CACO 50384.
Ackerman Urology has 4 convenient locations providing advanced urological care to improve men's health and sexual vitality. Don't suffer through prostate, bladder, or kidney issues. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
When it comes to your utility bill, JEA wants to help you use less so you can save more. We offer a variety of free programs, like efficiency and irrigation assessments that'll teach you ways to conserve energy and water around your home. Our alerts will let you know when your utility usage has reached a set amount, and our rebates can help you save when upgrading to more efficient appliances and equipment. Find even more ways to save at JEA.com.
It's Work Zone Awareness Week, Florida. Every year, lives are lost in work zones because of speeding and distractions. When you see orange cones, remember, slow down, follow the signs, and stay focused. Workers are counting on you to get home safely, and so are their families. Let's work together to prevent crashes and save lives. A safety reminder from the Florida Department of Transportation. Slow your roll. Safety's the goal.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line.
Hello.
Your floor's missing piece.
All right, welcome back to the program. Frank Frangie with you. My buddy Ira Schofel checks in from warchant.com. And Ira, I say this lovingly because the Pittsburgh Pirates are the worst team in baseball, okay? But what in the world with the Orioles, bro? What's happening?
Yeah, they're trying to challenge for that title. It is. I like Brendan Hyde. I like the manager. I like the GM. I like the front office. But something's going to have to happen because this is a disaster, Frank.
I'm shocked they started this badly. I mean, aren't you so my team sucking is standard, but aren't you surprised a little bit?
Yeah, that's the worst part is you actually had expectations. And I think, listen, I mean, they had awful injury luck. They've had a bunch of pitchers on the IL, and that's understandable. The problem is, it's just like they've gone in the tank offensively too. All of these guys, these young phenoms, Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, all these guys they're not responding. It's like you think the offense would give them a chance, but it doesn't. And it's a lot of misery right now.
I got it. I feel your pain. Trust me. So let's talk FSU football. Let's start at 10,000 feet. I got a lot of specific questions. I know you were on with Rick last night about some other stuff, but let me start at the top here. They changed everything, and I applaud Mike Norvell for that. He's obviously on the hot seat. It was a miserable year. He blew it all up, man. Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, most of the roster, a bunch of portal guys. Is it healthier now? And I know we won't know till they play. I get that. But do you get a feeling that they've put some of that behind them and this will be a good bit better? Do you think that?
I think they gave themselves a chance, and usually if you're as bad as they were, it's hard to come back from that for a head coach. I think the only way to do that is to do what they did, which is basically just, they didn't feel like they could fire the head coach because of the $60 million buyout. But they had to do something. And so they made drastic changes, and you got 6 new assistant coaches, new coordinators on both sides of the ball. Almost half the roster is new. So they're doing everything they can to try to make it work for him. And I think they're doing the right things. And I think Norvell's kind of embracing this more CEO role. He won't be calling the plays this year. So I think they're doing everything they can do. But, yeah, whether or not it's definitely going to work, it's hard to say because not many coaches come back from 2-10.
That was the next question. Gus Malzahn is there. I assume if you get a guy that's accomplished as Gus, Ira, you just give him the offense, right? I mean, he's the head coach of the offense and you kind of stay out of it. Is that what you're sensing here?
1,000%. And, he wouldn't have taken the job any other way. And I think Mike Norvell, I think it was hard for Norvell at first. I mean, he's been a play caller. That's kind of, like all those guys, they think they're so good at it that they don't want to give it up. And then there's the control factor. But, yeah, I think he knew that the only way to get Gus Malzahn in here, really to get any great offensive coordinator or established offensive coordinator, was to let them run the offense. And so I don't think he was thrilled about it at first. But I do think as the spring went on, I think it grew on him. I think he realized, in this day and age with the transfer portal and players coming and going and NIL and all the other things they have to deal with, I think he realized that, there's a lot of stuff I have not been paying close attention to, and maybe I can use this time to do that. So that's what he's really trying to do. And I think, that may be the best thing for the whole team.
You made a funny point on my show a few months ago. You said if Tommy Castellanos plays as well for them as he did against him, he's going to win the Heisman Trophy. How was he in spring? I know there wasn't a spring game, and I know everybody's private now, but best you could tell, people with whom you spoke, how was Castellano in spring?
Yeah, I think the biggest things the boxes they had to check was, one, what kind of teammate would he be? He left Boston College in the middle of the season.
Right.
It's not a good look.
Right.
And there were some extenuating circumstances, but he still left in the middle of the season, and so that was one thing. And from everything I've heard, he's aced that. I mean, he has been everything they wanted in terms of not just a leader, but getting guys together away from the practice facility, getting them to eat dinner together. Just he's made that his priority to try to bring this team together. He did grow up, down in Southeast Georgia. He grew up as a huge FSU fan, so he wants this program to be successful. He's also a cousin of Devontae Freeman, so he really wants to bring FSU back, not just personally, but I think also for FSU. So he's been great in that regard. As far as a player, I mean, yeah, he's still the same electric runner. The big thing I think they're trying to work on with his passing is just, protect the football. He's never going to be a 75% completion guy, but I think that the idea is, make your plays, but there have to be times where you just eat it and don't force it, and that's going to be the key. I do think he'll probably still turn it over because I think he's that kind of quarterback. He's going to always want to try to make a big play, But you just got to limit them. You can't lose a game because of turnovers.
I want to get to your thoughts about Jordan Travis giving up football. We'll do that later on. I don't want to get to it yet, but I'm going to get to it. But Jordan Travis was really good. Okay, he was obviously we nobody could have imagined how good he turned out to be, and it was sad the way his career ended at FSU and then overall. But he also had dudes. I mean, he had Keon Coleman, he had Johnny Wilson, he had Bell, the tight end from South Carolina. He had dudes, man. Is that better? Will Squirrel White be good? Will some of the guys they brought in? What's the general belief about some of the skill on offense here?
I definitely don't think it's going to be to that 2023 level. I mean, you had a bunch of NFL guys, Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, Jaheim Bell, Trey Benson.
Right.
I mean, you had NFL guys all around him, and so you're not going to have that. But I do like it's definitely going to be much better than it was a year ago. Wide receiver Deuce Robinson, who they brought in from USC, is 6'5", 6'6", can really run. In practices this spring, a couple times I heard he took little screen passes the distance. So he's not just a tall, big body. He's also a guy that can really run. And then I think, Squirrel White, I think the question with Squirrel White is he is coming off of an injury. He dealt with an injury last season at Tennessee, and he missed most of the spring with a PCL. It was still sprained from his time at Tennessee. So I think, they still have to see if that comes back 100%. And then the other thing is I think he needs to have another really good receiver outside of him. I think he's going to be the slot guy, and you don't want him to be your number 2 receiver. I think you want him to be your number 3. And so that was the big question this spring. I don't know if they have a firm answer on it. They really like a freshman out of Cocoa, Javen Boggs, who was one of the most decorated high school players in terms of statistics in the state of Florida. He almost broke the all-time receiving record, and he had a great spring. So they're hopeful. You don't want to go into a fall hoping on a true freshman or planning on a true freshman being your number 2 wide receiver, but they're really impressed with him, and if he does that, I think that really helps out Squirrel White.
Ira, what's the vibe in Gator Nation, right? What's the vibe in Seminole? I got Shane coming up in a minute. Well, what's the vibe in Seminole Nation? I mean, the stadium's redone, but it was such a bad year. Yet you're only 2 years removed from a really, really good year. Have people given up? Have people given up on Norvell? Is there some hope? Nobody knows that better than you. What do you sense?
There are still some people who believe in Mike Norvell. They think, it was a perfect storm last year where everything went wrong and he made some mistakes, obviously, but they still like him. They still think he's got a chance to turn it around. They want to see him successful. But there's a big group of FSU fans who are not confident in him at all. And I think, you go back to, it's hard to watch that though, because 2 years ago, they're 13-0. They'd won 19 straight games. So how do you go from that to this in just a year's time? But, you guys see it all the time at the NFL level. I mean, it's what have you done lately? And that's what college is becoming now. And I think, I think the reason people are wondering about Norvell is all that success was with those transfers, as you mentioned, those guys that they really killed it in the portal to get all those guys and bring them in. But at that point in time, people not all the other schools weren't trying to get portal guys. So FSU was kind of like they had found the fishing spot that nobody else really knew was there.
Right.
And then they had all that success. Well, now everybody's fishing in that spot. And Florida State doesn't have as much money as a lot of these schools. So I think people wonder whether he can recreate what he did in those 2 years because everything else has changed. But, I think people like him, but I just don't think there's a whole lot of confidence throughout the fan base that he can really turn it around.
Ira, it's weird. We've all been in this business a long time, right? And we've all seen the ebbs and flows. That part of the thing that makes sports really cool is there's ebbs and flows everywhere. I mean, the New England Patriots are terrible now. Whoever thought the Patriots would be terrible, right? So there's ebbs and flows everywhere. But bro, I don't know that I've ever seen anything like a team that was that good suddenly become that bad. You know what I mean? I mean, even half a year later, it's just mind-boggling that they were that good and they became that bad. Wasn't that bizarre? You saw it up close, right?
Yeah, I never imagined it. Even when they lost in Ireland, I remember going back, and thankfully people aren't throwing this back in my face very often, but after the game in Ireland, I remember we did a video and I said, I still think this team could be really good. I don't have any doubt that they have the talent, and I think that they're going to turn it around. This was a bad day halfway across the world, and I thought they would turn it around. And then 1 week later, they lose at home to BC. Then they lose at home to Memphis. And at that point, it got through my thick skull that something was really wrong. And the problem is they that's the other reason people are so down on Norvell. It's like one thing for a team to not be as good as you thought, and he thought they were going to be really good. Like he thought they were going to compete for the ACC championship. It's one thing to be wrong, but then to not be able to figure out anything. Like they could not find anything that they could do on offense or defense, and the team just spiraled. And so, yeah, I think a big thing for a root cause, I think he thought that his culture, quote unquote, was what. When they brought in all those transfers and they all bought in and they all played hard together, I think he thought that was his culture. I think in hindsight, it might have been a lot of those guys we talked about earlier that they just got the right guys. They got hungry guys who believed in each other. They believed in Jordan. They loved each other. And then you take those guys out. You take Jordan out. You bring in DJU, who none of those guys really believed in. And I think everything just fell apart. So Norvell, that's been a big emphasis this spring, is trying to kind of work on that part of it. And that's why with him not being the play caller, he has more time to work on that stuff. Again, we'll have to see if it works, but that is definitely something he's focused on.
Yeah, to your point, by the way, about the Georgia Tech game, we all thought that. Look, Georgia Tech had won 5 of 7, 5 of their last 7 the year before. The only losses were Clemson and Georgia. They were bringing back the quarterback who was such a good runner. The game came down to a field goal at the end. I think we all thought that. I think we all thought, okay, FSU played a Georgia Tech team we all thought might play them. Remember, you and I talked about the fact they might play them.
It was a tough spot. It was a tough matchup, no question.
Right. Yeah. So I think we all kind of thought, okay, it was a close game. They came back. That's why I think everybody was so surprised. All right, moving forward. Number one, you hate to put a number on it, but what's he got to do to keep his job? Does 7 wins keep his job? The 6 wins is he's fired? I know the buyout's still pretty big. Where do you see all that?
Yeah, because of the buyout, I think it's 7. You'll talk to FSU fans who won't be the ones writing the check, who will say that even 7's not enough. They want to see 8 or more. But I think realistically, because the buyout is still going to be over $50 million, I think 7 gives you a chance. It gives them a chance to, hey, we made 5 games improvement. Maybe you lost some tough games, maybe you lost some close games, and so now you can use that in recruiting. You've shown improvement. He's not about to get fired, and then you also can possibly keep the fans engaged. I think 6 wins or less, I just don't the temperature of the fan base is terrible right now. They do not believe in him. Yeah. They're going to support the program because they're Noles. They're going to buy season tickets because they want to keep their tickets. But there is not much confidence in the fan base. And so if you go 6-6 or 5-7, I just don't know how you keep those people invested. And at that point, I think they'd have to make a change. But again, I'm not writing the check either, so it's probably easy for me to say.
No, I hear you. And listen, I think you're right. Here's the thing. I think they're going to lose to Alabama because I think Alabama's always pretty good. Mm-hmm. But then they've got a bunch of games that they're probably, they're going to win the next 2. Yeah. They go to Virginia. Who knows what Virginia's going to be? Miami comes in, is not going to be as good. So there could be a stretch there. I think that's really critical, right? I think that let's assume they start 0-1. The next 4 or 5 are games they could win. And that won't kind of tell the tale? If they don't do well there, he's not even going to make it to midseason, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, most of their toughest games are definitely going to be at the end of the season. Right. You got to go to Clemson, you got to go to Gainesville, you've got an NC State game on Friday night. They never play well up there anyway. Yeah. So that part of the schedule is going to be really tough. And I think to your point, that I do think Miami at home is not a unwinnable game, and certainly those other games. But just what you're talking about right there, you just said, Virginia, who knows? Well, that's not where Florida State football needs to be. And that's the point. When you get to that part of the conversation, that's when fans get most angry because they're like, what are we talking about? Like, we're not sure we can beat Virginia. We're not sure we can beat Stanford. So that's where the frustration mounts. But no, I think we'll probably know about the first half of the season. And the Alabama game, the big thing about that, and I agree with you. I mean, Florida State's obviously going to be a big underdog, double-digit underdog in that game. But I think it's going to matter how it looks. If you're not competitive in that game, man, I just think it's going to be a tough go. So that would, if I'm Bill, I'd figure out a way to call the game as much as I could to keep it close so that you don't get embarrassed. Norvell has a tendency, even when he's outmatched, to kind of go for everything, pull out all the stops and try to prove they can win the game. And sometimes that's how you get a lopsided score. He does not need a lopsided score in that first game in that new stadium. That's a great point. I hadn't thought about I've assumed that Alabama's going to win that game. They're going to be a favorite. But you're right. He doesn't need 48-10, does he? That's a really good point. Ira Schofield does great work. You can see him on warchant.com. He keeps on keeping on. Ira, thanks for joining us. This was kind of your 10-10XL week. We're all grabbing you this week. So thanks for spending some time, bro. We really appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thanks, Frank.
All right. Ira Schofield, boy, he does a great job. He's from morechan.com. He knows he's a common sense thinker. He knows the Noles like the back of his hand. And a very interesting year coming up for Florida State football. No question about it. Let's take a break. Let's keep it on college football. When we come back, I'm heading to Gainesville. Shane Matthews is from the Gator Radio Network, the 2-time SEC Player of the Year. He joins me after this. Stay with us.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show. From the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
The official station of the Jaguars fans. 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Ever wonder where your food comes from? Get back to the good old days with fresh produce delivered to you from local family farms. Subscribe today at doorbellfarms.com. Connecting real people with real family farms.
Fantastic news here. Due to overwhelming response, Beers Diamonds extending their amazing earring and bracelet sale for Mother's Day. Picking here. So now through Mother's Day, you can still save up to 40% off diamond earrings and diamond tennis bracelets. It's Beers' most ambitious offer ever, and response has been incredible. The corporate-owned big box stores can't touch these prices. Beers, locally owned, man. Say hi to the Lupos when you go over there. The freedom to give you pricing you deserve. Highest quality diamond jewelry. Celebrate the mothers in your life with something they'll appreciate for decades to come. They also have special pricing on other Mother Day favorites, including colored gemstones, pearls, pendants, and fashion jewelry. Beards Diamonds, your destination for making this Mother's Day truly special. Don't miss Beards Diamonds' biggest sale ever. Up to 40% off Beards' already beatable value price. Now through Mother's Day at the Town Center. Only locally owned jeweler. It's Beards Diamonds.
I'm Julie Harrell. I grew up here in Jacksonville and have seen our city grow as well as the number of car crashes. If you need help after a crash, choose a law firm with an actual office here. Lawyers you can meet with face-to-face and who specialize in personal injury. At Harrell & Harrell, we've been here for nearly 40 years, developing relationships with local doctors, law enforcement, helping people just like you. If you've been injured in a crash, call Harrell & Harrell. Offices, Jacksonville.
PRP treatment is kind of the thing these days, and in many cases, it eliminates the need for surgery. This is Sheridan Tootin, and my experience with PRP from Southeast Orthopedic Specialist has been nothing short of great. I'm really feeling much better now. Ask your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist doctor about PRP treatment.
This is Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, where athletes are treated like pros.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Take a radio boat ride with Captain Cabin on the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show. Wheeled in by the Pest Pros at Royal Pest Services and awaken 180 weight loss.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
Duck Duck Rooter is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When you need help with any plumbing, septic, or AC issue, just give us a call and relax. We'll send one of our first-round draft picks to tackle your problems today. DuckDuckRooter.com. That's DuckDuckRooter.com.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Join us at Miller Electric May 29th from 4 to 7 p.m. We're on the lookout for talented people, from entry-level to experienced electricians and foremen, security system installation and service technicians, fire alarm system service technicians, and both senior and junior VDV technicians. This is your chance to get hired on the spot. Meet the managers, indulge in delicious food, and snag some awesome giveaways. Don't miss out on this electrifying chance to power up your career. Miller Electric, May 29th, 4 to 7 p.m., 6805 South Point Parkway.
Calling all poker enthusiasts. The Poker Atlas Tour is bringing 7 action-packed poker events to Best Bet St. Augustine, June 5th to June 15th, including Event 1, a $300 no-limit hold'em tournament featuring a $100,000 guarantee, and the $600 no-limit hold'em title event with a $200,000 guarantee. Satellites are happening now at Best Bet St. Augustine. For tournament structures and all the details, visit bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to website CustomTreeSurgeons.com. That's CustomTreeSurgeons.com. and let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
Are your monthly bills keeping you up at night, wondering how you got so behind? Hey, I'm Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. I get it. Life is expensive now. Insurance, groceries, cars. And then there's the credit card debt with those obscene interest rates. It's time to regain your financial freedom. And that's what we offer at Loan Pronto, using the power of the equity in your home. We have multiple ways to get you the cash you need, and most clients close in 2 weeks or less, and many don't even require an appraisal. And listen, rates have been plummeting recently. We just locked a homeowner in with an APR in the low fives, saving her over $1,000 per month, and put $10,000 in her pocket. Life-changing money. Whether you're drowning in debt, have a nosebleed rate you got last year, need home improvements, or simply need cash in your pocket, we can help you accomplish this goal in record time. Call us today and get started with no hard credit pull, just a conversation. LoanPronto.com, 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com. That's LoanPronto.com.
Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks, vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
I'm Max Fink with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update, brought to you by Awaken 180. Last night, the Gators had their final midweek matchup of the season, where they lost 7-1 to the USF Bulls, which marked their first midweek home loss of the season and snapping their 4-game win streak. They now have to head to Austin this weekend to face the number 1 team in all of college baseball, the Texas Longhorns, for their second-to-last regular season series of the year. Men's basketball coach Todd Golden earned himself a golden payday after winning the national title in just his 3rd year as the Gators head coach. Golden's 6-year, $40.5 million extension puts him as the 4th highest paid coach in all of college basketball, surrounded by names such as Bill Self, John Calipari, and Danny Hurley. It's 82 degrees at 5:02. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
All right, welcome back. We appreciate our friends from Coyle & Sons, always a sponsor on a Wednesday. They do a terrific job. Coyle & Sons Fence Company, the best fence company in all of town, 904-356-4821. My buddy Shane Matthews checks in now from Gainesville. Shane, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, Frank. How are you?
I am doing fine. I'm ready for football already, Shane. It's May 7th, so I got a little bit of a weight on my hands, bro. But I am ready. Hey, let's wrap up kind of the whole Gator thing for a second. First of all, spring's behind us. What did you see? What did you think? It looks like to me, and I've been saying this, you and I talked about it on your show, that I think they've got the best roster they've had down there in a long time. Does it look that way up close as well?
Yeah, definitely. You're returning pretty much your entire offensive line, but from a skill standpoint, Frank, the running back room, the wide receivers, the early enrollees, even the kids that play safety and DB or a corner, I thought they looked phenomenal. I haven't been this excited about Gator football in a long time.
So let's talk. We'll get to DJ in a minute. What is it? Just good recruiting? There's not a lot of portal guys now. I mean, for the longest time, there were portal guys left and right on that defense. Caleb Banks is a portal guy, but for the most part, this is guys he signed, right? I guess Pup Howard's a portal guy, but you get the point. The cornerbacks, the safeties, certainly Miles Graham, the edges. He's really recruited well. Isn't that kind of the storyline at this point?
Yeah, I think kids like Billy. They like his staff. They want to play for him. They want to play for the logo. A lot of things is great about the University of Florida. And, they pick and choose a few portal guys here and there, but for the most part, the kids that he's recruited are highly, highly touted. Now they just got to go win games.
All right. DJ Lagway, is he healthy? What you're the insider. You're the quarterback insider. Is he healthy or not?
Well, he's obviously not healthy, Frank. He's not. He didn't throw in the spring. I thought that was so bizarre to me. And he has an arm problem. Now, addressing it, and I guess he just recently started throwing. But it concerns me for sure that a 19-year-old kid has arm problems, and you don't know if it's going to linger throughout the year or what. We know he played last year with it. Can he do it this year? But he's a freak athlete, understands how to play the position. I would have liked for him to go through spring so he could get acclimated at trying to adjust and throw against zone defenses, because he struggles in that area. You play man against him, he will tear you up. So I do have concerns.
Did you sense that look, he's a good quarterback. He's tough, he's physical, he's smart, he's hard as heck to sack. He throws a great deep ball. Now, you and I have had this conversation. You can't throw 12 touchdowns and 9 picks. That number's got to be, in today's football, 25-5 or whatever. Did you sense that the injury affected him at all last year?
Probably a little bit. I think the hamstring injury probably affected him more than anything, because I don't think we're going to have a whole lot of called runs for him, but I think he can cause problems for the defense, just scrambling. But with the injury against Georgia, I think it hampered him the rest of the year. I'm not sure what's going on with the shoulder. I know there's some people out there that aren't concerned about it, and there are people like myself that are. But for Florida to have the year they want to have, DJ's got to be ready to roll.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. They're good at a lot of spots, but the backup quarterbacks are backup quarterbacks, so he's got to be able to play. Let's talk about Billy Napier for a second, and just in full disclosure, the way I've explained this, and I'll stand by this, I think they've got a roster that is like the good teams, Shane. I think their roster, I'm not saying they're as good as Alabama, Ohio State, but the roster looks more like those guys than it has in the past. I don't know if Billy is a great football coach. I don't know if he's that knack, that sideline knack that the great coaches have. I don't know that he has that. You've called every game he's coached there. What do you think? Does he get beat up too much for his coaching acumen? Is he better than people think? What do you think of him as not just play caller, but I mean game plan designer and use of timeouts? What do you think?
Well, I think he and his staff have made some mistakes, with game management, timeouts, things of that nature. From a play caller, look, he wants to run the football. And for Florida to be successful, they're going to run the ball. Is that what we all love? No. But the bottom line is you got to win games. And, you talk about the coaches that have the knack or whatever. There's only a handful of them, honestly, in America. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to pick who they are. There's just 3 or 4 of them that get it done. So I think he has the program headed in the right direction. As I said, the players love playing for him. He's got the roster how he wants it now. He's got a lot of guys that you can throw a slant to, and they can score touchdowns. We haven't had that in a long time. You can turn around and hand the ball to multiple running backs and score. You got a dynamic quarterback. I think for them to have the year that I want them to have and all the fans want them to have, I still think it comes back to the front 7 on defense. If you cannot play solid defense, be aggressive, and make plays with your front 7 in the Southeastern Conference, it could be a long year.
Yeah, you're 100% right. All right, you're in Gainesville. You play golf with your 20 buddies or your 20-some or whatever the hell you play with these days. You do your podcast every day. You do business in game. You're connected. What is the buzz? Do people trust him more now? Are people still like sleeping with one eye open because they're not quite sure? What's the confidence level of Gator Nation, Shane?
I think people are very excited about Gator football this year. There's more of a buzz here in Gainesville than I've ever felt before. Yeah. And again, there's still people that have question marks. And, whether it's Billy, the coaching staff, who's calling plays. I try to tell people the only good plays are the ones that work. Right? You still got to go out and execute it. I'm sure if you'd had your talk show back in the early 90s, people be calling, raising hell about calls that Coach Springer had, right?
Right.
Because not all of them work. So it's going to be a fun year. I got a good feeling of that.
The schedule is hard again. Obviously the first 2 games they'll win. Then there's at LSU. Then there's at Miami. Then there's Texas and A&M and Georgia and all the rest of them. Can they line up with those teams? I mean, that's the question.
Yeah, everybody talks about how difficult the schedule is, and it was last year, but we still won 8 games.
Right.
I don't think the schedule is as hard as last year because the majority of those teams you mentioned have new quarterbacks.
Right.
We have a lot of returning guys, and I feel very confident going into this year.
Yeah, you feel good about it, don't you? I mean, we've talked a bunch of times. I mean, you I mean, I'm going to put you on. You think they're going to be like really good, don't you? I mean, the Gators this year.
Well, I picked us to win. I'm done with the prediction. I've been doing it for too long and haven't been great. But I did predict us back in August to win 8 games. We won 8 games last year.
Right.
May not be the way people wanted us to win them, but we did.
Right.
I go back to dudes that can make the quarterback look good. That we got dudes at the wide receiver and at the running back position now that I haven't seen it like this in a long, long time. Of course, it's going to take a full team effort, all 3 phases, all that nonsense. But I am very excited about just the depth and the players on this roster.
So let me ask you this: You've got a basketball team that just won the whole thing, right? So Gator Nation's thrilled. I was there. I told you this on your show. I had the best time. We all had it. There's 30,000 Gator fans sitting by a damn river 2 a.m. What the hell? I mean, so it was a great time. Does that lift up Gator fans to where they're more excited about football? Is there more pressure on football because of what basketball just did? How is football affected by that, or not at all?
Well, I think there's more pressure on football year in and year out, regardless of what whether it's baseball, softball, track, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Look, we win a lot of titles, SEC national titles, in all our sports, but it all comes back to the football program. And look, it's a big year. I mean, obviously, what basketball did, does it put more pressure on the football team? I don't know if it does or not, but do other sports feed off of that? I mean, softball's kind of cranked it up here in the last few weeks. Baseball's kind of got themselves into postseason play now. Before we won the national title in basketball, I don't even know if we were going to make postseason. So I think everybody that loves the University of Florida feels pretty good with the athletic program's moving right now.
Yeah, I think that too. And I don't know if I've had this talk with you, but this angst towards Scott Strickland has astounded me. The basketball coach he handpicked just won the title. The football coach he handpicked might have a pretty good team, to your point, and I think they do. The facilities, which once upon a time weren't great, are now among the best in the country, which they weren't for a while. NIL's fully funded. Doesn't that surprise you a little bit that there's angst, even booing towards Scott Strickland, given the situation the athletic program's in?
Yeah, that was uncalled for at the celebration there at the spring game. Look, I think Scott's done a great job. I think early in the football season last year, we didn't really know what direction the program was going to go, but they stood by Billy, and it was the right move. I mean, the players played hard for him. There's no question in my mind what these players think about Billy Napier and his staff, and that goes a long way, especially in today's world where you can just pack up and go with no penalty and go try to make money somewhere else. So, look, I think Scott's done a great job with all the programs. A lot of our fans love to use the phrase, we're an everything school or whatever they use.
Right.
We're pretty damn good at a lot of stuff. But it all comes back to football, and hopefully this fall it turns out the way I think it can.
All right, let's hope so. I think you're right, Shane. I'm like you. I think got a hunch they're going to be pretty good this year, so it's going to be fun to watch. Shane Matthews checks in, the 2-time SEC Player of the Year, and, of course, from the Gator Radio Network. Shane, thanks, buddy. We'll talk to you.
All right, Frank. Take care, buddy.
Shane Matthews does a fantastic job talking Gator football. Really good. It's a really good broadcast. Sean Kelly on the call. Shane is the color commentator. Tate Casey does the sidelines, a former terrific tight end, lives here in Jacksonville. Wonderful guy. It's a really good broadcast, and it's great to have Shane on. We do want to remind you, we are brought to you today by our friends at Coyle & Sons Fencing Company. They've always been a commercial fencing company. I mean, since the 20s, man. Well, now they're doing residential fencing, and why would you call anybody else? And right now, they're offering 0% financing for all residential customers. If you want to finance that thing, it doesn't cost you anything from a percentage standpoint. Give them a call. Coyle & Sons, I've told you the story so many times how they've built our batter's eye, and they bailed us out at walk-off when we were in a mess, and they're about to do a lot more work for us. We trust them. You should too. 904-356-4821 for my friends at Coyle & Sons Fence Company. We'll take a break. JJ's going to knock out some headlines after this.
The Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Frank Frangie here. These days, it's hard to know which companies to trust. But when it comes to banking, I trust South State Bank. South State truly values its customers, and they work hard to create meaningful, lasting relationships. I love going into my local branch. I see the same smiling faces I've seen for years. South State is the largest bank headquartered in Florida, so they're able to offer all the banking services you need. You can trust South State Bank. Banking Forward. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
1010XL.
Look at this place. It's huge.
Extra large radio.
Hi, folks. I'm Frank Frangie. If you have a sweet tooth like me, the sweetest desserts in town come from Spoonful Bakery. Spoonful is an online bakery. They deliver boxes of assorted desserts right to your home or office. They're so good, and they make for great gifts for friends or clients. And if you want custom orders, wedding cakes or birthday cakes, or catered desserts for an event, they are the best. Log on to spoonful-bakery.com or call them at 904-515-4984. That's Spoonful Bakery for the sweetest desserts in town.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. Before termites attack your home or business and cause costly damage, Terminix it. Terminix stops termites in my home fast. These destructive pests may have been around for millions of years, but before they show up, so does Terminix. And their time is up. Don't live with a termite problem. I certainly wasn't going to. Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. Terminix.com.
Frank Frangie here. Nimnick Chevrolet is proud to be a 7-time Chevrolet Dealer of the Year recipient, the only dealership in Northeast Florida to ever win this prestigious award, earned by treating customers with courtesy, respect, and fairness. All part of Nimnick's Treating You Right guarantee. Visit NimnickChevy.com to learn more. For 3 generations, Nimnick has been the place customers keep coming back to. They treat you right. Where do you go? The answer is simple. Nobody but Nimnick. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Your yard's starting to look a little like a jungle? Well, it might be time for a little TLC. Or how about RTC, Russell Tree Care? At Russell Tree Care, they give your trees the perfect haircut. Whether it's trimming or removing, they'll make sure your yard looks its best, all while keeping safety as a top priority. Call Russell Tree Care today and let them take care of your trees. Russell Tree Care, 844-4Mr. Wood. That's 844-467-9663. Or visit RussellTreeCareLLC.com today. Your trees will thank you.
What was George Washington's salary when he was president?
Filing an insurance claim following a storm shouldn't be an ordeal. Southern Oak Insurance's claim team prepares for catastrophic situations well in advance. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
George Washington's annual salary as president was $25,000, about $4.5 million in today's dollars.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Listen to whatever you like, whenever you want.
I like this.
1010XL. On demand. Ad-free shows after the live shows end. Shadowed by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning. Search where you find podcasts.
The team at Hidden Hills Golf Club invites you to book your next round of golf with us. At Hidden Hills, we love the game, and we'll provide you with a memorable golf experience at one of the most unique golf courses in North Florida. Check us out at hiddenhillsgc.com.
Bueller.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Jason, I don't see how a new air conditioner is going to work out for me.
Well, you like air conditioning, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. But a new air conditioner could be expensive.
Well, not if you...
I mean, to save up the money, I probably have to give up my extra hot skim latte every morning. Now I fall asleep during a staff meeting, get volunteered for the summer picnic committee, and end up sitting in the dunk tank all afternoon getting water up my nose.
Okay, look at it this way. Put on these sunglasses. Whoa. Bueller Air and Plumbing puts in a new AC. We hook you up with affordable financing, and you stay cool and comfortable for just $149 a month. Cool?
Cool. I see it now.
Life can be hard on your budget. If you suffer through the heat because of a broken AC you could totally afford to replace, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. With the weather starting to turn for the better, look ahead. Get that backyard ready for spring with a new screened-in enclosure. Maximize the space you have and make it great with Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. They truly are best in the business. If you have the space and the idea, give them a call today. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway. Tell them Prosser sent you, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about not being afraid of the crosses of life. Life can be difficult. Maybe today you're carrying a cross of worry or stress. Let me encourage you to remember that when Christ got on the big cross at Golgotha, he destroyed all the little crosses that we face in our life. He set us free from fear, worry, and anxiety. Our job is not to be carried by the cross, but to be carried by our faith.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
Need cash? Peaches Jewelry and Pawn has cash, and they're ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. And gold market prices are at a record high. Get cash on the spot at Peaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jacks Beach.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Gather round. It's Hays' Headlines, presented by Harrell & Harrell. Don't settle for less than you deserve. Hear all about it. Here's Hays Carlyon.
Well, it's JJ LaSelva today, but we still have headlines, and we're still going to thank Harrell & Harrell. Really appreciate you guys for giving us this every day. All right, we got Jags news to start out.
I love Jags news.
A little surprising to me. We talked about it at the beginning of the show. The Jags are designating Gabe Davis as a post-June 1st release, meaning they will absorb $5.7 million dead cap hit rather than the $20.3 million dead cap hit they had not made if they had not made the designation.
Yeah, Judge,
go ahead.
I'm not surprised. I said this earlier in the program. I'm not surprised that he's gone. He was going to be the fifth receiver. And when you're going to be a fifth receiver who's not a special teams player, it just doesn't fit. It's also hard to have a guy who's somewhat accomplished in the league and has expectations to play to suddenly be the guy that's sitting there watching everybody else play. So I didn't expect it, but I'm not surprised by it.
Yeah, he only caught 20 passes for 239 yards and 2 touchdowns in his Jaguars career. More wide receiver news. George Pickens, who is coming up with his last year of his rookie deal, has just been traded today from the Steelers to the Cowboys for a third-round pick next year. Sources with ESPN's Jeremy Fowler say that Cowboys do not plan to extend Pickens' contract and will let him play out the final year. He's 24. He had 59 catches for 900 yards and only 3 touchdowns last year. And he likes to voice his opinion on and off the field. What'd you think of this trade?
You know, JJ, if you read all the Pittsburgh stuff, and because of my Pirates fandom, I do, he never fit. Coach, of all the things the Steelers do badly, look, they haven't won a playoff game in 8 years or 9 years. They haven't found a quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger, which is why they haven't. But they're pretty good at the whole culture thing. That's why they have winning records every year, and they kind of fit, right? They're not a very good team year in and year out, but the culture fits, and he never fit. And everything you read that he was a little bit of a diva.
Yes.
And divas don't last long there. Antonio Brown actually wasn't a diva until he was, and then he was gone. So I don't think he ever fit up there, which is bad for them because I know they went and got DK Metcalf, but they don't have a lot of good receivers. The word today is because everyone knows Aaron Rodgers is going to wind up there. The word today is now they may trade for Alan Lazard is their second guy, but I'm not surprised by it. There was a disconnect between the Steelers and him all along.
How is Alan Lazard still a number 2 in 2025?
No idea.
Just because he's friends with Aaron Rodgers.
It's got to be the reason. Right?
I'm sure they'll bring in Randall Cobb as well. All right. So the NBA last night. I mean, first of all, the NBA the last handful of days has been absolutely spectacular, man. Like the endings, the comebacks, the underdogs. I think right now every single series the underdog leads, including last night. 2-0 right now. Indiana Pacers over the Cavs after they won 120-119 after Halliburton misses a free throw, gets his own rebound, dribbles back, and drills a 3 to win the game. The Pacers now up 2-0 against the Cavs, who had the best record in the East going into the playoffs.
And Halliburton's looking for anybody he can find to say, hey, am I still overrated? Right? Hey, am I still overrated? You're right. What it shows me, and JJ, you know that league so much better than I do. I don't follow it very closely these days. But there's got to be parity, man. When the underdog keeps winning, that means there's not a gap between the favorite and the underdog. That's good. That's great for a league. It's great for attention. I hope it doesn't hurt them in the ratings. I hope it helps them like it should. I worry, you hear me talk about this all the time, that the lack of known stars, not stars, there's really good players. I mean, Anthony Edwards is a star, man. Gilgeous Alexander's a star, but the lack of stars that people know, the grandmother rule, people that don't follow the sport, do they still know who it is? And I worry, but you're right. The games have been marvelously compelling. I agree with you.
Thoughts and prayers to Donovan Mitchell, who dropped 48 in a loss last night.
And lost.
By the way, Halliburton, before we leave this game, this stat's crazy to me. The most clutch player of the season has to be Halliburton. He is now 10 of 11 from the field on shots to tie or take the lead in the last 2 minutes of a game this year.
How about that
10
stat?
of 11.
How about that
That's
stat
wild.
on game winners or game tying shots? 10 of them. Now, he's a really good player. Again, and you've made this point better than either Hays or I have. The league's got some really good guys. Donovan Mitchell's a really good player, man. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's a really good player. Anthony Edwards is a really good player. Jalen Brunson's a really good player. But the mainstream fan doesn't know him because the mainstream fan still knows the old guys.
And when Halliburton, they probably know Halliburton's dad now before they know him, who, by the way, is not allowed in any games after his celebration in Giannis's face about a week ago. So the second game of the night was not as fun to watch, but it was very intriguing, especially after Steph went down after 13 minutes in the game. He pulled his hamstring. The Warriors still beat the T-Wolves, who basically missed every single shot in the first half. But the Warriors have said that it's a hamstring pull, and they are going to reevaluate him in a week, which is, by my count, that's like he's going to miss at least 3 games, probably 4.
Yeah.
So they might have won the battle, but it looks like they're going to lose the war.
Well, here's the thing, though. If they won the game,
right?
If they win the series somehow, either without him or with him coming back late, can you imagine trying to beat them afterward?
Right.
You know, I mean,
they'd feel invincible at that point.
They really would. So if you find a way to win this game, or this series rather, and get him back, oh my goodness, that may be yet another title for Steve Kerr. It really might.
Yeah, and without Steph, everybody else stepped up. Draymond looked like 5 years younger last night. He had 18 points, like 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Just did it all like the old Draymond we used to know. All right. This is by far my favorite story of the day. An anonymous Colorado fan, football fan that is suing the NFL for $100 million for causing emotional distress caused by Shedeur Sanders dropping to the 5th round. Lots of jokes that this might be Mel Kiper. He's going by John Doe in the lawsuit, though.
I saw it. $100 million. And by the way, it really is a lawsuit. There is really.
I thought it was fake. I thought it was a joke.
There was a guy that has really brought forth a $100 million lawsuit. Oh my goodness!
I did see that he's going to be number 12 this year. I really can't wait to put the Shedeur Sanders stories behind us. But I'm assuming it's not going to be anytime soon.
But because here's why. There's again, if you're not a diehard sports fan, because he's Prime's kid, that's one of the names. If you ask a non-sports fan, give me 4 or 5 names in sports in the last month, he's going to be on that list.
He's certainly more popular than the number 1 overall pick, Cam Ward, unfortunately.
No question.
His jersey sales are the number 1 rookie sales right now, 5th round pick.
How about that? And again, there's very few guys you know their name. You do know Ward's name. You know Travis Hunter's name. After a while, because Travis Hunter won the Heisman Trophy and Cam Ward was picked 1 overall. But I will tell you this. There's a lot of names the average guy doesn't know. That's the storyline here, JJ. There's just so many names. So
absolutely. All right, staying with college football, Utah's quarterback, or I guess I should say former quarterback now, Cam Rising, unfortunately medically retiring from football after his hand injury. He's been through the ringer with injuries the last few years, so it's sad to see. I guess this is the second one with Jordan Travis in as many weeks. Quarterbacks having to retire.
Yeah, Cam Rising was a pretty good player. Won that stretch 3 years ago whenever they played Florida, and one of the first years Napier was there. I remember thinking, that guy's a pretty good player.
Oh, yeah. He went into the swamp and was 1 play away from winning on the goal line.
Yeah, he
did it all that game.
Yeah, he's been, but this is the guy that's waited. He's 25, by the way. And if he tried to play again, he'd be a 26-year-old collegian. Yeah, it is sad. He's a good player, no question.
Yeah, all right. Let's go to the Diamond. Last night, I got to give a shout-out to my Braves, who still having trouble scoring. They had 0 runs going into the 9th inning last night, but they ended up getting a run and walking it off in the 10th inning thanks to Marcell Ozuna. So I guess things are sort of looking up for the Braves at this point. They still look like they have no chance to catch the Mets in the East, even though it's early days. But they're finally starting to win some games. They have great pitching.
Yeah, know this about the Braves. They're 17-18, but they started 0-7. Now, I'm not saying those games don't count, all right? But the reality is they're 17-11 since the start of the season. Well, 17-11 would be one of the best records in baseball. Right? So and again, yes, the 7 people say, oh, those games don't count. Of course they count. They're
Unfortunately.
They're 5 games back of the Mets with most of the season left. I think the Mets are really good. I think the Phillies are really good. But the Braves, so it's a tough division. But the Braves, I don't think are going. I've said that all along. The Braves have a really good team.
And the pitching is just great again. It's just every year. Sale looks like his 2024 Chris Sale last night in his last 2 starts, which is sort of taken a little bit to get there. And then this guy, A.J. Smith-Shawver, who is a huge prospect for them, has looked phenomenal in his last 2 starts. So he looks like he's going to be in the rotation for the rest of the year. The weird thing is you haven't really heard about Acuna coming back from...
Yeah, I know it.
He's supposed to start his rehab, but it hasn't started yet, so I don't know. Something's weird there. Hopefully he'll be back in the next few weeks.
You know, you're right. You don't. I didn't think about that till you said it. You don't hear anything.
No, it's been about a year, and I think doctors have signed off on him. He's able to start his rehab assignment, but he just hasn't yet, so I don't know what the deal is there. I got to talk about your boy, Paul Skeens, last night. He's so good, but he's so unlucky with the team he has to play for. He loses to the Cardinals again, despite only giving up 3 hits and 2 runs over 6 innings. He lost 2-1 to the Cardinals, and here's the craziest stat. He's only lost 7 games in his major league career, but 4 have been to the Cardinals.
Well, not only that, so I'm watching last night, right? So he shut him out through 5 2/3.
Oh, okay.
He shut him out through 5 2/3. Okay. Now he walked a few guys, walks the guy with 2 outs. Okay. Blooper with 2 outs.
Hate that.
Okay. Nobody's barreled one up yet. Makes 1 mistake. 2-run double. Down 2-1.
Game over.
Everybody in the park knew the game was over.
Yeah.
I mean, you knew right then there was no chance the Cardinals were going to lose the game.
So you guys scored 1 run last night. I'm sure today the bats woke up, right?
Oh my gosh, we exploded for 0 runs today.
Oh my God. So 1 run in the last
7
2
shutouts
games combined.
have been shut out 7 times. Okay,
it's hard to do in the majors, man.
How about I got a stat for you. They're 12-25 or something like that. Is that what the Pirates are? I'll find a record. Okay, you ready?
It's amazing they have that many wins.
Yeah, hey, they've won 12 games. I want to say 12-27. I don't have it in front of me. You know they've had like 20 quality starts.
Yeah, Keller and Skeens are good pitchers.
They've had 20, and Haney's been good for them. And,
Andrew Haney, the lefty.
Yeah, they've been 20 quality starts, and they've won 12 games.
I feel for those guys.
Oh my goodness.
All right,
I feel for me. Okay.
All right, we'll take you out on our musical note. This is a foreplay / long time from one of my favorite bands, Boston, because tonight, a little more, I guess, 90-ish minutes from now, we have a massive NBA doubleheader that tips off in Boston. I mean, these are must-win games for the Celtics and the Thunder tonight on TNT. They are both down 1-0, and I couldn't imagine. Like, I guess if the Celtics go down 2-0, I'd give them a better chance to come back against the Knicks. But if OKC goes down against Jokic, it might be curtains.
I'll tell you how big tonight is. And by the way, great musical choice, best debut album in the history of rock and roll music. From this song is from. I am not an NBA guy, as we talk about all the time, JJ, and I'm not going to lie and say I can stay up late enough for the late game. I'll watch every dribble of that Celtics Knicks game. Yeah. I mean, and I will be that. Honestly, I will be that locked in on the NBA tonight, because you're right. These upsets and these underdogs
and the comebacks.
No
lead is safe.
Yeah. The Knicks were down 20 and they won the game
in the second half.
It'll be fun to watch, no question about it. Well done, by the way. Nice fill in right
Thank
there.
You.
JJ filling in for Hays. That is headlines. We'll be back. We'll wrap the program right after this.
The Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
This is Brent Musburger's Visa in Action update on 1010XL. Brought to you by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. When you're stuck, call the Duck. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The PGA Tour playing at the Philadelphia Cricket Club for the Truist Championship Round 1 on Thursday. It is the penultimate event before the PGA Championship next week at Quail Hollow. The golf course has been around since 1922, but this is the first time that the PGA Tour has made a stop. Rory McIlroy is the defending champion from when it was the Wells Fargo Championship. He's plus 500 to repeat as champion. Colin Morikawa and Ludwig Oberg are both plus 1,500. Xander Schauffele plus 1,600. Justin Thomas and Patrick Cantlay both plus 1,800. And Jordan Spieth and Tommy Fleetwood both plus 2,500. Earn cash back on your gaming transactions with the GBank Signature Visa Card at vsin.com/GBank. I'm Tony Desiri with your Visa in Action update on 1010XL.
Hey there, Jacksonville. With scorching temperatures just around the corner, it's crucial to ensure your AC is blowing nice and cool. Duck Air Conditioning is here to keep you comfortable all summer long. But don't wait until the heat gets here. Our service techs are ready right now to handle any cooling issues you may have at your home or business. Call Duck AC today at 904-862-6769 to schedule. That's 904-862-6769. Duck Air Conditioning. Online at duckduckac.com.
If you need an insurance agent, I'll recommend the best guy in town, State Farm agent Craig Dewhurst. Call him at 940-9740. Really good guy, really good agent. Life insurance, homeowners, automotive, you name it, he'll handle it for you. Tell him what you need. He'll assess your whole situation. What kind of coverage do you need? How much coverage? What should your deductible be? What do you make and how does it fit your cost and your rates? You will love dealing with Craig. What a nice guy he is and how he'll help you get the right answers. The best in the business. Craig Dewhurst from State Farm, 940-9740.
This is Hays Carlyon from my friend Holt at Harrell & Harrell. There doesn't seem to be enough time in the day to get everything done. Then you get injured in an accident and you don't know what you're going to do. Let Harrell & Harrell make it easy for you. Easy on becoming a client. You can just text or email if you want. Easy on finding a doctor and getting through the process. Hopefully you won't need them, but if you're ever injured, call Harrell & Harrell and make it easy on yourself. Call them at 904-251-1111. That's 251-1111.
Here's Linda Beaver.
At Beaver Toyota, we believe your experience should be more than just buying a car. It should be a lifetime of confidence, care, and trust. We're proud to offer a lifetime warranty, lifetime oil changes, and lifetime customer service. We're not just here to sell you a car. We're here to establish a lifelong relationship that you can always count on. It's simple. You deserve the best and shouldn't settle for less. Visit Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine, where we're ready to give you peace of mind for a lifetime. We're here to wow you.
Mike Dempsey here. Look, you know, it's been 10 years that I've been vouching for my guys at Dandy Boots, and for a decade, I'm proud of my association with a local family business. They make a great product. I've made no secret that I was a customer long before Dandy ever came on board on 1010XL. But I'm thinking I'm due a little Dandy swag, maybe a little love. How about a Dandy t-shirt, a ball cap? So how about it, Thompson family? What do you got going on over there? In the meantime, I'm going to keep eating those delicious tuna salad sandwiches. So guys, keep helping me out and grab a Dandy sandwich today.
The Sawgrass Marriott Golf Resort and Spa is the perfect place for indulging in a pampering spa treatment. This Mother's Day season, give the gift of wellness with a gift card and take advantage of the spa's current promotion. Buy a $75 gift card or more and guests get a credit towards a future service. With healing massages, revitalizing facial treatments, and more, a day at the Sawgrass Spa makes a perfect gift for everyone. Purchase in person at Sawgrass Spa during operating hours.
The calls have been pouring in.
It's the strongest phone connection on the First Coast. The Checkmate Coatings phone line covers you with expert interviews from around the country and your opinions and comments from here at home. All day, every day on 1010XL.
Too busy for Mother's Day? That's no excuse. Not when a simple call or online visit to Kuhn Flowers would do the trick. I'm RJ Saunders with 1010XL. Take care of your mother by ordering a floral arrangement today from Kuhn Flowers. KuhnFlowers.com.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes here with a challenge. A challenge might not be the best choice in words, so let's say an opportunity. Take the opportunity to lose 40 by the 4th with Awaken 180. It sounds a little different when you put a real goal to it, doesn't it? Maybe you looked at the scale this morning and it read 230 pounds. How about it reading 190 by the 4th? Maybe the scale says 300. Wouldn't the number 260 be a little nicer on your eyes and on your joints? It's attainable if you have the same results we all had with Awaken 180. I dropped 40 pounds in 9 weeks. Hacker dropped his first 40 in just 6 weeks. Dempsey, Blue, and everyone else I know, same results. And we've kept it off. The best thing about Awaken 180 weight loss, It will completely change the way you think, see, and feel about food. The results are real, attainable, and the process simple with Awaken 180. Take the opportunity and drop 40 by the 4th. It all starts with just one call to Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Call 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Jumbo Shrimp Baseball is home at the newly renovated VyStar Ballpark. Tomorrow is Coors Light Thirsty Thursday and Nurses Night. Don't miss fireworks Friday and Saturday, plus beach hat giveaway on Saturday. Presented by River Point Behavioral Health and VyStar. Baseball all weekend. Tickets start at just $5. JackShrimp.com for tickets. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, affordable family fun.
Reclaim a pain-free life with Rebound Rehab. If you've been injured or simply feeling the effects of an active life, you can rely on Rebound Rehabilitation to get you back in the game. Sitting on the sidelines isn't any fun. Trust Rebound Rehab's team of trained physical therapists to get you back up to speed and feeling full again. Now more convenient than ever. 11 locations to serve you, including new offices in Riverside across from St. Vincent's, Point Meadows, and Middleburg. Just log on to reboundrehab.com to see all they've got to offer.
AA Automotive helps keep your vehicle in dependable and safe condition. Call Sam, Harry, or Joe, and they'll check your brakes, tires, fluids, electric, and motor, so your ride runs smooth on the road. That's AA Automotive on Richard Street.
It's Work Zone Awareness Week, Florida. Every year, lives are lost in work zones because of speeding and distractions. When you see orange cones, remember, slow down, follow the signs, and stay focused. Workers are counting on you to get home safely, and so are their families. Let's work together to prevent crashes and save lives. A safety reminder from the Florida Department of Transportation. Slow your roll. Safety's the goal.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jacks cool since 87.
All right, to where we've been today, we talked about Gabe Davis. That was the news of the day locally. The one-year Jaguar, the former Buffalo Bill, let go today, released by the Jaguars. They took a little bit of a cap hit. But again, I made the comment earlier, and I'll say it again. He was probably going to be, at best, their receiver number 5. He does not play special teams. Receiver 5's got to be one of those core 4 guys. He was not. So Gabe Davis is no longer a member of the Jaguars. I don't think it's a real surprise. He was here one year, only caught 20 passes, only played in 10 games, only started 9, 20 catches for 239 yards. He averaged 12 yards a catch, which was by far the lowest of his career. He averages 16.2 for a career. He's had a year over 17, but only 12 yards a catch. Just didn't go very well last year for Gabe Davis. So Gabe Davis gone from the Jags that today. We talked about Steph Curry being out and the NBA getting very good. We had talked about that throughout the course of the day. Brett Hastings stops by from Sports and Courts, talked about the president wanting to thrust the executive branch into college football. We'll see what happens there. Ira Schofel was here from warchant.com talking Florida State football. Shane Matthews checked in from the Gator Radio Network talking about the Gators. All that coming up, or all that we had today on the program. Reminder, tomorrow now, John Ozier will be here for the entire show. Johnny O from Jaguars.com will be here. We'll talk about Gabe Davis. We'll talk about Brian Sanders, the newest member of the Jaguars front office. We'll talk about the upcoming rookie minicamp, including the Saturday afternoon where fans get a chance to go. So all that coming up. Lee Smith will also be here tomorrow. We'll talk golf. Johnny and Lee and I will talk golf in the 4 o'clock hour. So a lot of fun stuff coming up. And, of course, JJ will knock out headlines tomorrow as well. So busy show coming up tomorrow. Be sure to check in as the Ozone stops by. JJ, some news from Andrew Marchand about the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah, so this is from The Athletic, also with Seth Emerson. He says ESPN is now open to paying millions more for a 9th SEC game. And to me, that's all we need to know. ESPN's willing to foot the bill and spend more money for that game. That means it's probably happening in the near future.
Yeah, the future. The history of that is last year, not this past year, but 2 years ago, there was talk they were going to go to a 9th game. The Big Ten, the Big 12, and at the time the Pac-12, which existed, all played 9 conference games. The only ones that played 8 were the ACC and the SEC, and there was talk that the SEC was going to go to 9. Everybody thought it was going to happen. There were whispers at SEC Media Days that it was actually going to be announced that July at the Media Day sessions, and then it didn't happen. And then the word came out afterwards that the SEC drew a line in the sand with ESPN and said, listen, we'll add a conference game, but you have to pay more. And ESPN said, not interested. Our deal's our deal. And the SEC said, okay, then we're not adding a conference game. That was 2 years ago. So since then, obviously, there's been much conversation. We all knew that ultimately the league was going to go to a 9th game. Now the word is out that it will if ESPN is going to ante up. So you're right, JJ. That's the final part of the puzzle, right? So it won't affect this year. By next year, everything's going to look different. Next year, it's going to be a minimum of 14 teams in the playoffs. That's almost been acknowledged that they're going to go to 14. I think they're going to land at 16. I don't think they're going to stop at 14. Why would you do 14? Then you still have buys involved. Go to 16. Nobody gets a bye, and everybody plays. And I think that's my guess is that's where I'd be surprised if that's not where they land. So that'll change. You'll see the 9th SEC game next year as well. Because remember this, if you go to a 16-team tournament, then listen to me on this, a number of 3-loss teams will be in. You realize a number of them, not just 1 or 2. If you go to 16, you'll have at least 2, possibly 3-loss teams in the tournament.
As there should be.
Yeah, that's right. And
because out of the 16 best teams this year, there was multiple with 3 losses.
That's correct. And if once you can get to 3, once you can get in with that 3rd loss, teams are going to be far less reluctant to play another conference game. They're going to play decent out-of-conference games as well. And so the whole sport will change. And, by the way, the extra conference games, not just because of ESPN or TV money, extra conference games make more money. Obviously, the TV thing, you sell more tickets. People more excited about coming. So your home for your home games, heads and beds benefits. So, or the people in charge of heads and beds benefits. So, no, this is not a surprise.
Is there a certain game that you would like to see back on Florida? Like, didn't Florida used to play Auburn all the time?
That's the game.
Okay.
And now the way they do it now, I don't know that you would see an annual rivalry return, because there's not many annual rivalries left anymore.
But you'd at least play them more often.
But you'd play them more often. I grew up with Florida-Auburn. I thought Florida-Auburn was one of the best series ever. Some of my favorite Gator games ever. In 1987, I think it was, maybe 86, Kerwin Bell limped in with a bad knee, down 17-0. He hadn't played. He had his awful knee, but they put him in because they were losing, and he led them back to the down 17-16, went for 2. JJ limped into the end zone. I mean, it was one of the most dramatic plays in Gator history. I know that neither team was great, but I remember beating them 18-17. I remember in 85, Florida beat them 14-10 at Auburn, and it's the first time Florida was ever ranked number 1 in the nation. They were ranked number 1 after the game. There were games Auburn upset them, even in their national championship year. So, Florida.
They've only played 4 times in the last 20 years.
And they played
That's sad.
And it is sad because they played forever
all the way until 2002.
Yeah, it played forever. So it is sad. Florida-Auburn was a wonderful series. Now, look, this is whiny Gator fan talking. One of the reasons it was so hard for the Gators, they played all the good teams every year. They played LSU every year, other than Alabama. Alabama, they didn't play them every year. But
Georgia, LSU,
Auburn, LSU, Tennessee, they got them every year. They're the one team, and they had FSU every year in that stretch of the 90s when FSU was so good. So that's, by the way, that's why they dropped Miami. Is
the schedule was insane.
The SEC had always played 7 conference games, right? And so Florida would start the season with Miami, play 7 conference games, and end the season with FSU. Well, then the league went to 8 games. And once they went to 8 games around, I think it was 1990s when it happened, Florida dropped Miami. And so and I can remember, and I hated it because I grew up, didn't grow up with, but when I was in college and afterwards, start the season with Miami and Florida started the season against each other. Florida and Miami and FSU played each other midseason, and Florida and FSU played each other at the end of the season. So there really was a true state champion. Mm-hmm. Every year, they all 3 played each other. And I thought and the football was so good. I loved it. I hated to see that go away. So, but anyway, I hope Florida-Auburn comes back. That's a good call on that. So we'll see whether or not it does. I'll also say the story we had yesterday, Clemson and Notre Dame decided to play every. Me too. I think you're going to see more of that. Well, look, the SEC going to a 9th game is kind of more of that, right? I mean, all of a sudden, step one of teams playing better teams was yesterday when Clemson and Notre Dame made their announcement. Today, the announcement comes out that the SEC is going to play 9 conference games. Once we get to 16, you're going to see more. Look at college basketball. Because everybody gets in, man, those teams play great games.
Oh, the first month of the college, but you look up and it's a Tuesday and like Syracuse is playing Duke, and then the next game is Kansas versus
Kentucky,
North Carolina, and you're like, whoa, this is like the antithesis of college football.
Right.
We're playing.
Right.
We might have a big game to start the year, but then after that, it's USF or Northern Illinois, whatever it is.
And the reason for that is because you're going to get in.
No, exactly. You can afford a few losses,
right? If everybody in basketball gets in, they play each other. So I'm excited that's going to wind up happening. So that is a good thing. So all right, let's say hello to Rick Below.
Now the 2-minute drill. Service by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling, locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
Hey, we didn't talk about this yesterday. What did you make of the Clemson Notre Dame announcement that they're playing every year?
I love it. It's great, but I hate the fact that it's going to probably come at the expense of Notre Dame USC.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, I read that a few places.
Is that the word?
Yeah, it is.
Well,
and we already lost Notre Dame, Michigan.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that was going to be part. I thought they were trying to get. Well, they did.
Lincoln Riley's been trying to get out of it. He's trying to get all these rivalries that are now non Big Ten.
Well, maybe that's it then, because I hear you. So maybe USC wanted out. Yeah. Notre Dame didn't want to lose a big game, so they took on it. Okay, I didn't know that. I hate that because Notre Dame USC has been one of the most fun games. It's one of the few
95 years.
Yeah, and cross country. It's one of the few. I mean, we have no cross country games left anymore, and no annual ones. So that was a fun. Always late in the year. Yep. Some great games. Right?
I was hoping that with this new playoff, up to 12 teams, that we get back some rivalries. I was hoping to get back Oklahoma, Nebraska, and Texas A&M, and instead we're losing them, and we're even losing ones that really mean nothing around here geographically speaking. I believe Washington State's over, Oregon State. Actually, they remained. Possibly they'll play one another, but Arizona State. It seems like all these rivalries, Utah, BYU, they're no longer happening yearly. Let's get rid of Florida State, Florida while we're at it.
What's going on? What are we doing tonight?
We got a lot of good stuff tonight. Obviously, the Gabe Davis cut was...
Surprised you?
Yes.
Okay.
Only because of the money.
Yeah.
Not because of the production. I mean, it was a terrible signing. I hated it, from the moment it happened a year ago. But to me, it spoke volumes about what this team is doing. And, a 26-year-old injured wide receiver who showed up overweight and does not have any production whatsoever. Yeah, it's going to hurt the team because of future cap restraints financially. But, get him out of the Miller Electric Center. So, to me, it really said a lot. And I'll begin with that tonight. We're going to be very busy, though, over the next couple hours.
All right, coming up, Rick Ballou goes into the night, and that comes up right now. That'll do it for our program. Tomorrow, JJ and I'll have it for you. John Ozier will be with us for 2 hours tomorrow. Lee Smith from the tour. We'll talk some golf. We got a lot of fun stuff coming up on our Thursday program. Right now, though, Rick Ballou goes into the night. For the absent Hays Carlyon and for JJ, I'm Frank Frangie. So long.